Following the news of Toys for Bob's involvement in Call of Duty Warzone post-launch support, Activision Blizzard's top management reassured fans of the team's efforts by promising that the software firm would continue to work on other projects as well. Crash Bandicoot 4: It's About Time, its creators are eager to experiment with the visuals of the orange marsupial once more. The origins of Crash Team Rumble may be traced back to the fourth chapter's development phase. The authors of Toys for Bob were already seeking around for ideas on how to update and expand the marsupial universe while working on the title, which represents a classic descent of the historic IP. The software house discovered racing and party games with a multiplayer vocation while rediscovering the franchise's background. However, according to the writers, none of these encounters brought back the original sensation of the IP. Toys for Bob came up with the concept of Crash Team Rumble with the goal of merging the conventional platform soul of Crash Bandicoot with a multiplayer dimension. We're talking about a competitive championship in which two teams of 4 players compete against one another. Crash Team Rumble, which is anticipated to launch on Sony and Microsoft consoles, will offer full cross-platform support from the start. Lou Studdert, Associate Creative Director, and Dan Neal, Creative Director, utilize the phrase strategic multiplayer platform to describe the project, emphasizing how the end result intends to be a novel experience for both the series and the current video game landscape. Toys for Bob has attempted to restore the single-player platform dynamics typical of the marsupial's adventures, but to modify them for competitive use across Crash's 10-year existence. We will find iconic characters ready to move across a wide range of maps, each with its own extension, level design, and location. Each hero will have distinct features designed to encourage teamwork and the use of a strategic approach to the game. To round out the image, the authors describe plans to grow the title through post-launch support, such as seasonal battle passes. But first, let's go through the ground rules. Each team's goal, as it should be, is to collect the most Wumpa fruits in the shortest amount of time. Each match will demand you to collect in certain numbers, and the first team to cross the finish line will win. Straightforward, and linear. Toys for Bob, on the other hand, enjoys complicating things for players, forcing them to consider a vast number of variables during each game. With complete control of the camera, unlike in It's About Time, you can navigate Crash and his buddies across the area, searching for Wumpa fruits distributed throughout the scene. It is vital to preserve the succulent goodies, which also nestle inside the conventional destructible boxes, secure after gathering them. Each team has a Wumpa bank for this purpose, which is clearly marked on the map by a colored circular area. Reaching the deposit given to your team, on the other hand, is no easy task. Crash Team Rumble, as previously said, is a competitive experience in which each opponent has the opportunity to interfere with the collection operations of others through offensive actions. Conflicts between characters are thus regular administration in the title, but they are not the only important topic. Indeed, there are numerous things that can influence our dedication as serial Wumpa fruit pickers. Groups of 3 or 4 little circular bases stand out among the later. Players on each team can gain a special bonus by hopping onto all of these closely spaced places of interest, which boosts the number of Wumpa fruits collected by a certain percentage. Each area will provide a varied boost depending on the amount and complexity of conquest. An especially intriguing element is that each Crash Team Rumble map contains many locations of this type, the benefits of which are cumulative and can provide boosts of up to 70%. A choice that encourages challengers to take a strategic approach to gameplay. The importance of these regions in Toys for Bob's plans should make them the center of violent fights between opposing teams. Finally, the relics add to the action's vitality. By collecting these artifacts dispersed throughout the world, players can travel to relic stations and exchange them for valuable bonus items. Each level has its own set of perks, the cost of which changes depending on the game's potential influence. Toys for Bob, for example, showed us Crash's transformation into a beach ball ready to overwhelm his opponents during gaming segments. Teammates can collaborate to collect the relics required to activate a certain station, after which they can reap the advantages jointly. Joint action is especially important for activating epic stations, which are bases capable of providing very great bonuses, but only after inputting a substantial number of resources. Each map only contains one, and among the impacts created are severe meteor showers, the activation of a second Wumpa Bank, and the emergence of hostile UFOs in the game's skies. The overlapping of these three dynamics, collecting Wumpa fruits, activating boosts, and using relics, appears to promise a remarkably dynamic gaming experience with a highly competitive rate. Matches should ideally last around 5 minutes, the effectiveness of which will be highly dependent on the quality and variety of level design proposed by the maps. Toys for Bob appears to have given close attention to this element. During the software house's presentation, we were able to see the seas of Just Beachy or the overhanging rocks of Calamity Canyon, where players can even activate mobile rock walls capable of protecting their bank or hindering opponents' return to the deposit. Tiki Towers, a jungle-themed environment and ruins in which relic stations can transform into catapults capable of launching characters across the entire map, are also featured. Overall, we thought each environment was quite well described, both in terms of aesthetics and level design. Toys for Bob took specific efforts to add vertical features in each location, with the most strategic points of interest positioned along lines that demand a certain platform-like commitment to be followed. At first look, the maps appeared to have fairly modest dimensions, but in order to effectively judge the relationship between extension, density, and variety, a first-hand test will be required. In this regard, the development team has decided to meet with less patient users by organizing a closed beta. The latter will take place between April the 20th and 24th, 2023, and will be available through game pre-order. Crash Bandicoot, Coco, Torna, Neocortex, and Dingodile will appear in 3 venues during the test session. The choice of your alter ego is far from secondary in the game's economy. In actuality, the roster is separated into 3 classes: Scorer, Booster, and Blocker. As the name implies, each category specializes on the collection of Wumpa fruits, the activation of bonuses, and the blocking of opponents. It is, however, a soft demarcation of jobs. The protagonists can devote themselves to all duties, and Toys for Bob has opted not to limit the composition of the teams in any way, which could thus be constituted by 4 Dingodiles. However, the pursuit of complementarity may prove to be the most effective strategy on the battlefield. To tailor your style of play, at the start of each match, the user can bestow a specific superpower on the character. Do your teammates need to recharge their batteries? Simply call a curator fridge. If, on the other hand, you want to make a significant contribution to victory, you can use the Wumpa Stash, which is essentially an additional tank of fruits. The object appears out of nowhere on the character's head and immediately changes him into a target for all opponents, yet, by remaining alive for roughly 30 seconds, you will be able to win 100 free Wumpa fruits. In addition, we can summon a Gazmoxian guard, who will block all strikes directed at our hero. Each superpower recharges slowly at first, but if the player performs his function well, the recharge bar will tend to fill up faster.